Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. If you saw last week's What's for Dinner video, I mentioned that we were in Kentucky last weekend for a family reunion. So the night before we went to the reunion, my mom and dad and Gary and I went to a little mom and pop restaurant in our hometown. We try to go there every single time we go. It is just down home cooking and it is so incredibly delicious. My mom and I hit the jackpot because they have like a whole menu of food you can order, but they also do a buffet, and all of our favorite things were on the buffet. So we were so excited. They had fried pork tenderloin, they had turkey and dressing, they had chicken and dumplings, and I think they had meatloaf as well, and then all the amazing delicious sides. My mom, dad, and I all got the buffet, and I forgot to get a picture of Gary's food, but he got their bacon cheeseburger with home fries, and then we got their homemade blackberry cobbler for dessert and all kind of snacked on it. The next day was our family reunion. Now, this family reunion, it was my dad's side of the family. The lady that was putting it on is my grandpa's first cousin, and we don't know, or I don't know rather, that side of the family, so it was really nice to go and meet them. The lady putting it together told everybody to bring a 2-liter, a dessert, and finger foods, and as you will see, our family is very loose with the definition of what a finger food is, but it doesn't matter. Everything was so delicious. So we had some pulled pork, hot dogs, we had sloppy joes, we had pimento cheese sandwiches, chicken salad sandwiches on croissants, baked beans, some little Hawaiian roll sliders, macaroni and cheese. Whoever made that knows what they're doing. That was so good. As well as that corn. It was homegrown corn and it was just so good. Somebody brought some potato wedges from Lee's Famous Recipe. We had a couple different kinds of like cowboy beans, sausage balls, potato salad, coleslaw, a pasta salad. We had a few different cheese balls. We had just some chicken salad with crackers to eat. We have potato chips, chips and salsa. These bacon wrap crackers, I brought these. I've shared this before on my channel. I'll link that video down below. Y'all have to try these. These are so incredibly good. Then we had some cheese and meat and crackers, some cheese and crackers. And then my mom brought these ham pinwheels. I've also shared this before on my channel. I will link that video down below as well. These are super easy to make and so yummy. And then I just got just a little sampling of, most things, not everything. There was way too many to choose from. And after I filmed this, some people came in, just kind of sporadically and brought some more dishes. I'm not going to go through all the desserts. As you can see, there is a ton of them. I made chocolate chip pumpkin cookies. I will link that video down below for you. And with the desserts, I just went through and just got a tiny little bit of each, but everything was delicious. Now, this family reunion, the family that was hosting it, they own a dairy farm, and on their dairy farm, they have a barn where they do all kinds of family dinners and family events and everything, and it is gorgeous. It is so beautiful, and they had it all decorated for fall. They're on their property. Of course, it's a working dairy farm, and so they have cows and longhorns, and they have chickens, and they had horses, beautiful horses, and we could go up and pet them and give them little snacks and stuff. And they even have a horse that is part zebra. It was beautiful. But this day was gorgeous. There was a breeze. The weather was beautiful. If you've been with me for a while, or you've seen some of my Q&As, I've talked about how my grandparents, lived on a dairy farm, and I spent a lot of my childhood on a dairy farm, so it totally took me back to my childhood. I loved it. And then after everybody ate and kind of, looked at the animals, kind of walked around the property and stuff, a big group got together, and we had banjos and violin, guitars, people sang and played, and it was really nice. After the family reunion for that night, I ran up the street and grabbed Lee's famous recipe. I mentioned in last week's video that we love Lee's. They used to have several restaurants here in Tennessee, but they closed down. So really the only time we can get it is when we go back home to Kentucky, and every time we go, we have to make sure that we stop there. So I got their chicken strip meal with macaroni and cheese and potato wedges. Gary got their spicy jumbo dippers meal with macaroni and cheese and coleslaw. And then my mom and dad both got their 4-piece chicken wing meal with coleslaw. And then my mom got, what did she get? I think she got corn on the cob. And then my dad got baked beans for his side. And yeah, that was our dinner. The next day, we were traveling back home to Tennessee, and I'd mentioned in last week's video that there's a new Buc-ees on our way home up to Kentucky, and I have heard good things about like their breakfast burritos and their breakfast tacos, and we wanted to try it, and we were like right at the cutoff between breakfast and lunch. So we stopped there and grabbed, like I said, their breakfast burritos and breakfast tacos, and then I grabbed a couple of their salads, and we got the like Southwestern salad with like corn and black beans, and then we got, I think they call it their Cobb salad with like diced ham or turkey. I can't remember which one it was. And eggs and everything. So we just had that for dinner when we got home that night. And those salads were yummy. For dinner the next night, I made Crockpot garlic Parmesan chicken pasta. That's a mouthful. I first saw this a while ago on Taylor Elmore's channel. I'll link it down below. And I made it, it's been a couple years or so ago. And since then, I've seen it all over Instagram and YouTube and everything. This is a quick and easy little meal to put together. It is delicious. So in this crock pot, I'm going to add in some chicken. Normally, I use chicken breast, but today I've got chicken thighs. So we're going to roll with that. Next, the garlic Parmesan sauce. The last time I made it, I used the Buffalo Wild Wings garlic Parmesan sauce, and I didn't add any additional salt, and Gary and I felt like it was like right on the line of being too salty. And I saw another video that Taylor made after the first one I saw where, you know, she kind of said the same thing, and so she suggested using the Sweet Baby Ray's sauce, and I tried it this time. It worked a lot better. So I would say, you know, if you're sensitive to salt, maybe go with the Sweet Baby Ray's or another version instead of the Buffalo Wild Wing sauce. But anyway, once I've got that added, I'm going to add in some milk, some grated Parmesan cheese, a block of cream cheese. I'm going to cover this with a lid and cook this on low for about 4 to 6 hours. You want to cook it until the chicken is at least 165 degrees internal temperature and is really tender. Here's what it looked like about halfway through. I just kind of gave it a stir. And then once the chicken was done, you can remove the chicken and dice it up, shred it. I just took this little meat chopper and just, you know, shredded up the chicken, or chopped it, I guess, rather. And then, yeah, once you get that chopped up, this is what it looked like. I just gave it a stir, and we're ready to add in our pasta. You can use whatever kind of pasta you want. I used rotini pasta, just cooked it according to the package instructions. I'm going to add that, give it a stir, and then I covered it with a lid and let it sit on warm for about 30 minutes. Since the pasta is, you know, kind of heavy and rich, I wanted something really light for the side, so I picked up the sweet kale salad chopped kit. I just assembled it, you know, in a bowl, threw it together. So here's a picture of my plate. I've got the pasta, the salad. I did add a little bit of parsley flakes on my pasta just as a little garnish, and then Gary ate later than I did, but he had the same thing, and yeah, that was our dinner that night. If you're a fan of like the garlic Parmesan combination with wings and chicken and stuff, I would give this recipe a try. Like I said, it's really good. Just be mindful of the salt. I did not add any salt whatsoever to this, and I feel like it was well seasoned. Now, we had tons of leftovers, speaking of which leads me to the dinner for the next night, which was leftovers of the garlic Parmesan pasta. So yeah, that was dinner that night. For dinner the next night, I ended up trying 3 new recipes this night, and all of them were delicious. We're going to start out by making some pesto ranch chicken. I got this recipe from the Plain Chicken. I will have it linked down in the description box below for you. I've tried several of her recipes over the years, and everything we've ever tried from her has been delicious. So here are the ingredients for the marinade for the chicken. For the exact measurements, again, check that description box below for the recipe. First up, we need some chicken. I'm using chicken breast tenderloins today. You could use chicken breasts or chicken thighs, whatever you can get on sale or whatever you've got on hand. We're going to need some salt and pepper. I'm using extra virgin olive oil. You can use your oil of choice. Some ranch dressing, Worcestershire sauce, basil pesto, and some minced garlic. So I combined everything except the chicken in this measuring cup, and then I added the chicken to a Ziploc bag, poured the marinade in that, and then you can refrigerate it overnight for a couple hours. I think I ended up doing like 4 or 5 hours or so. Now you can grill this chicken, you could cook it in the air fryer, cook it on top of the stove. I decided to just cook it in the oven along with the like side dish that I was cooking. I believe I cooked this at 400 degrees for about 16 minutes. Just make sure you cook your chicken until it's at least 165 degrees. For one of the sides, I decided to do some roasted fall root vegetables. This was my first time cooking with beets, my second time having beets, and then my first time trying and cooking with parsnips. So here I've got some parsnips, carrots, beets, and then I have these little baby potatoes that are just on the edge of kind of being a little questionable, so I'm going to go ahead and use those up. You could use a butternut squash, you could use acorn squash, sweet potatoes. It's a great way to use all of the really delicious fresh fall vegetables that are coming in. In this bowl here, I've got my veggies. So I peeled the beets, I started to say turnips, the parsnips and the carrots, and then I cut them into small pieces. I tried to make them all about the same size. The little baby potatoes, some of them were small enough, I just left them whole. Some of them I cut in half. Now, I kind of loosely followed a recipe. I'll link it down in the description box below for you. To the veggies, I'm going to add in some olive oil, followed by Italian seasoning, garlic powder, and then the recipe suggested for fresh rosemary if you had it, and I happen to have some. So I'm just going to give that a really good toss. And I forgot, I also added some kosher salt and pepper. I poured that onto a cooking sheet, and then you want to spread everything out into a single layer. This is going to go into the preheated oven, and I apologize. Earlier I said I cooked the chicken at 400 degrees. It was actually 425. So I cooked the vegetables for about 20 minutes at 425, pulled the sheet out, tossed them around, and then cooked them for another 20 to 25 minutes or so until they're, start to get golden brown and they're really tender. And this is what the vegetables look like when they were done, and aren't they so pretty? I love all the colors. So perfect for fall. Okay, so for the other side, a while ago, it might have been like a year or so ago, I saw on I'm Merely Melissa's YouTube channel, she made a vinaigrette with pepper jelly, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's genius. I love pepper jelly, and I have been wanting to try that. I finally got around to it, and it was delicious. So in this little mason jar here, I'm going to add in some olive oil, and then I'm going to add in some apple cider vinegar. I can't remember what kind of vinegar Melissa used. I believe it was different than apple cider vinegar, but it doesn't matter. Just use whatever kind you prefer, what you got on hand. Now for the pepper jelly, I have this strawberry pepper jelly that I got when we were in Georgia, so I'm going to add that. And then as you can see, I did not get a mason jar big enough, so I had to switch jars. I'm going to add in some salt and pepper, followed by a little Dijon mustard, and then I'm going to put the lid on this mason jar and give it a really, really good shake. And yeah, the vinaigrette's done. You can give it a taste. If you want it to have a little more of a bite, you can add in a little more vinegar or a little more salt, whatever you like. And I will put the measurements of how I made this vinaigrette down in the description box below for you. So I decided to do a salad with a couple different things that I had on hand. I had some baby spinach, some arugula, and then I found these goat cheese crumbles in my fridge. I don't know how long they've been in there. They're still good, but I definitely need to use them. So I'm going to do that, and then use some of these candied pecans and dried cranberries to just toss that all together for the salad with the vinaigrette. Here are the plates. So we've got the chicken, those vegetables, and the salad. And like I said earlier at the beginning of this dinner, everything was delicious. That chicken was so good. Gary and I both really loved it. It had such great flavor. It was really tender and juicy. Loved the combination of the pesto and ranch. The vegetables were really good. I really loved the parsnips. I liked the beets. I didn't love them. They were good. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I want to try beets in different applications. They were good, but the vegetables overall were so good. And then that vinaigrette on that salad, it was yummy. So if you've got some pepper jelly hanging around in your pantry or your fridge and you want to use it up, definitely give this vinaigrette a try. For the last dinner in this week's video, I decided to make some steaks. I've been wanting a really good steak for a while, and I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. They were on sale at Kroger and Aldi and Food Lion all in the same week. Strip steaks were. So we picked some up, and I decided this was the night to make them, so we did a little at-home date night. I'm going to start out by making some caramelized onions and mushrooms to go on our steaks because we love that. So in this skillet here, I've got a little bit of butter. Once it melted, I'm going to add in some sliced portobello mushrooms, and the heat is on medium-high on this. So I cooked the mushrooms for about 5 minutes until they got brown, and at that point I added in some thinly sliced onions. I cooked them for about another 5 minutes or so until they were tender, and then I added in some fresh thyme. I happened to have it on hand. Again, it was lost in the recesses of my fridge and I needed to use it up before it went bad. You could use dried thyme, or you just skip the thyme altogether. Once the onions and the mushrooms were caramelized, I seasoned them to taste with a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to set those to the side. I have my cast iron skillet almost on high heat. It's just like one little dash down from high heat. I've got some olive oil and butter in this skillet. Once it was super, super hot, I'm going to add in my strip steaks. I pressed them down just a little bit just to help them get a good sear. Now for the seasonings, you can, season these however you want. I decided to add some of this Applewood smoked sea salt. This sea salt is delicious. I get it from a little store here in Nashville. It's an olive oil store that carries different seasonings, olive oil, vinegars, that kind of thing. I'm not sponsored, by the way. But yeah, this salt is so good. I added that and then a little kosher salt and pepper. I'm going to cook the steaks for a few minutes on each side until they are done to our liking. And then I've always seen this like on the Food Network and wanted to do this just because it looks so fancy. And I happen to have what I needed on hand today, which I normally don't have a lot of fresh herbs on hand. But like I said, I had that time. And then I do have a little rosemary plant. So I added some butter, added the rosemary and fresh thyme to the skillet, and then took a spoon and basted some of that garlic. Oh yeah, I added garlic too. Some of the garlic, rosemary, thyme butter on top. So once the steaks were done, I put them on a plate, covered them with foil, and let them rest for about 7 to 10 minutes before I'm going to slice them up. I had a bag of baby broccoli or broccolini in my fridge I needed to use up, so I'm going to cook that in the air fryer along with this Kinder's buttery garlic and herb seasoning. I also drizzled that with a little bit of olive oil. I cooked it in the air fryer at 400 degrees for about 6 to 7 minutes or so. And then for the second side, I just did some baked sweet potatoes. Just poked a couple holes in some sweet potatoes after I washed them, of course, and I cooked them in the air fryer at 400 degrees for about 40 minutes. I did flip them halfway through. And then for the sweet potatoes, I have this cinnamon honey butter. I got this at Walmart. It's their new Better Goods brand. I had it in my fridge, and normally when we do sweet potatoes, I'll do like butter, cinnamon, sugar, or honey, and I was like, oh, I can just use this butter. So did that along with a little pinch of salt. And yeah, here are the plates. So we've got the steaks, the onions, the mushrooms, the broccolini, and the sweet potatoes. Everything was delicious. So much better than going out to a restaurant and have to deal with people. I'm an introvert, so I like that part of it. We didn't have to deal with a long wait. It was a lot cheaper. We got the steaks on sale, like I said. And yeah, everything was delicious. It was so good. All right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.